Okay, let's recap what happened this holiday weekend. At least 72 shot in 5 separate major shootings. There were 2 shootings in South Carolina, also in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Chicago. Back with us now is Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, along with the National Vice President for the First Fraternal Order of Police. He's Joe Gamaldi. Thanks for joining us joining us tonight. It's good to have you both on. Congressman, how is the South Carolina mall shooting suspect? He's Dwayne Price. He's out on $25,000 bail. He's on house arrest. He shot 14 people. Why can he go back to work with an ankle monitor?
It's unexcusable. It's like your intro pretty much said it all. The police officers are lighting them up. They're arresting them on the front end, and then you have these DAs and weak judges that let them out the back end. It's inexcusable. In this day and age, I read that article. I thought, surely that can be right. But in fact, it is. He has his prior record. There were injuries. He was involved in a shooting, and yet he's allowed to go back to work.
Yeah, to the congressman's point, Joe, it's good to see you. He's got a criminal record dating back to 2018. He was charged as an accessory in the shooting death of a 17-year-old in Hopkins, South Carolina. So, when you see them let back, we're talking children getting shot. What is going on here, Joe? What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's completely out of control. A recent Gallup poll said that 80% of Americans are worried about violent crime, and they should be, because we are at historic levels. 2021 was one of the worst years we saw in 25 years for murders in this country. And you have the perfect example of what's driving this. This monster is suspected of shooting 14 people. And for that $25,000 bond, all he needs to put up is $2,500. So he's right back out on the streets. And this doesn't take a genius to figure out the psychology here. If there's no consequences for this deviant behavior, they're going to continue to do it over and over again.
Joe, say that again.
These revolving door policies are driving our crime rate.
Joe, you said he was allowed to walk in just $2,500. Is that what you just said?
Yes, because the way bail works is it's a $25,000 bail, but he'll just go to a bail bondsman and only have to post 10%. So $2,500 and he's back out.
Well, I don't know, Congressman, we keep hearing again and again what's going on. I mean, should these people, these politicians who allow this, should they just step down? Because they swore an oath to protect and defend American people, and they're not doing it. I mean, the South Carolina Richland County Sheriff, Leon Lott, said, we've got to do better. You can't just keep releasing criminals back onto the streets.
Well, God bless Joe and the men and women he represents, but he's actually absolutely right. When I was state legislator, we would always fight the bail bondsman, and they had plenty of money, and he's exactly right. 10% down. They have a lot of these bail bondsmen have a relationship with these families, and they just continue to bail them out, and that's why the crime keeps getting committed, because you have gutless politicians at the state level that will not put tougher laws on the books. Then they yield to the lobbyists.
Watch the New York City Mayor Adams, and I think we've got the New York City Police Commissioner talking about what's going on. Watch this.
The scales right now, it's tipped very heavily in favor of the reforms of the progressive left. And what we have as a result is this growing fear of crime, this growing actual amount of crime, as evidenced in almost every major American city.
Is Commissioner Bratton right?
Yes, I believe he is right. Major mistakes made throughout the years that destroyed the trust that the police commissioner is talking about. We have to rebuild that trust, but we can't rebuild that trust by allowing those who are dangerous and that have a repeated history of violence to continue to be on our streets.
We cannot lose sight of the victims of crime. We believe the system has to be fair and balanced, but when we lose sight of the victims of crime, we are not doing what public safety is intended to do.
That's it. She just said it. We've lost sight of the victims of crime. This whole defund police movement lost sight of the victims of crime, Joe. We have minorities killing each other. We don't want that in this country at all. We've got a collapsed border, fentanyl pouring into U.S. cities, and that's destroying minority lives as well. Joe, what do you say?
Well, you're absolutely right. The statistical data bears it out. The victims of these murders that we're seeing are members of our black and brown community, disproportionately so. And these families are impacted forever by the actions of these politicians and these academics who push these woke revolving door policies. And they promised the communities that it was going to make it safer, even though they had no scientific data to back that up. So the funny part in all of this is they sit their asses safely behind their desks while the rest of us have to pick up the aftermath of what's been left. And it's been the destruction of our urban communities.
That's it. You know, Joe just said it, Congressman. We've got New York City subway crimes. They're way up. Robberies up 72%. Assaults on the subways up 28%. You know, now the New York mayor, he says he's going to double the number of cops on the subway system. But just I think 2 or 3 years ago, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, in the far left, also Jerry Nadler, said defund police. They said defund police on New York City subways. We just had that Brooklyn mass shooting in Sunset Park. 30 were shot on the subway. And you know what the argument was, Congressman, in this? We should divert it to the cops, money spent on cops on the subway, to buses and maintenance. And they said, you know why we don't need cops on the subway? Because crime has dropped. You know why crime dropped on New York subways? Because of more policing. Congressman, they're just so off the wall in their logic.
It's completely reverse of what's right. You know, criminals will go to these areas where there are no gun zones, and clearly where they said, let's take the police off the subway. Then you have a mass shooting on the subway. It's like stockbrokers who watch Democrat leadership in their investments. I mean, they're going to go the least path of resistance, Liz, and that's exactly what the criminals are doing. They're not stupid. They know where to go.
Joe, your final word.
You know, we have more and more discussions in this country about more laws and more gun laws. Here's an idea. Let's enforce the laws that we have on the books right now. So if somebody puts a gun in someone's face and robs them or shoots them, seek the maximum and throw the book at them, stick their ass in jail for a couple decades, and you'll see our crime go down. Stop treating violent criminals with a velvet glove, and we'll start to get this stuff under control.
Congressman Burchett, Joe Gamaldi, it's good to have you on. Come back soon.